The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak, the Director of Communications for Albany County. And today we're going to talk about the Veterans Service Bureau. We have with us the Director of the Albany County Veterans Service Bureau, Ken Secor. Welcome.
Good morning, Mary.
You are very busy. We have had a lot of stuff in Albany County going on with veterans, and I know that it's, I don't mean to sound probably the way it will, but it's like the season where we have holidays honoring those who have lost their lives. We start with Memorial Day. We have Flag Day. We have Independence Day. We have all kinds of things, and it seems like this is really the time when our patriotic spirit comes alive.
It sure is. It's a very, very busy time for us. We're realistically busy year-round, helping veterans, but yes, this is a lot of holidays packed into a short period of time, so it brings veterans to the forefront. Mm-hmm. So it kind of drums up a lot of business for us, and so we tend to be providing a lot more services during this period of time.
Well, let's start out by talking about you yourself have served.
Yes, I served 30 years. I started with 5 years in the Navy, and then 25 with the Army. Now,
I'm a civilian, but I'm not used to hearing people that are switching branches. How does that happen?
Well, it happens occasionally.
Okay. Well, tell me why. Why specifically in your case did it happen?
Well, I had done 5 years in the Navy, mm-hmm. and it was my time to go, and I decided to try my hand at some other things. Went to college for a brief period of time, and the military, I just really enjoyed the military, mm-hmm. And I really missed it, so I decided to get back in. I had a little problem with seasickness, so I decided I didn't want to go back to the Navy route. Sure. So I tried the Army, and 25 years later, I wound up retiring.
So let me ask you, how does it work then when you've been in one branch and you've attained, I don't know, what rank did you attain in the Navy?
In the Navy, I was an E4.
Okay, so you come out.
Yep.
You went to school. I'm assuming that you were able to use some credits.
Yes.
To go to school. And now, do you start from scratch? Do you start at the bottom of the heap again, or how does that work?
A lot of times it depends on how long you've been out. Luckily, I wasn't out long enough, so I got to come back in as an E4.
Okay. And they have branches of service have the comparable. I thought they had different names for different things.
They do have different names for the ranks and everything, but the pay scale is the same, and that's really what they go by. Now, had I decided to go into the Marines, I would have had to go through their basic training again, because it's a little more rigorous than the other services. Mm-hmm. So I would have had to gone through a shortened course, a conversion course. Mm-hmm. Had I stayed out a little bit longer when I got in the Army, I would have had to gone through a conversion course. But like I said, I wasn't out long enough, so I managed to get back in as an E4 and continue my career from there. So
how does that work then? Do you come in, it's a different branch, there are probably some different rules. I guess some differences. There've got to be some differences. So what's day one for you is very different than day one from someone who is either used to the Army or brand new to the Army.
Yep. Well, the military is all built on standards and discipline. So coming from one branch to another is very similar, but there's a lot of little minor differences. When you're in the Navy and somebody asks you a question, you answer aye, or things like that. But when you get into the Army, I got in and they're starting to use other terms, and the big thing was HUA. I was like, what is this HUA thing, So There's little differences you have to learn, but it's really, like I said, standards and discipline. So as long as you can make it in one, you can really slide into the others. And when you go from one branch to another, what they do is they take your job specialty from that one branch and try to convert it to something that's very, very similar in that branch. So I went from working with missiles on a submarine to working with missiles, tow dragon missiles, which
I have no idea what that is. So
well, one's 34 feet long, and the other one can be mounted on a vehicle. So there's a huge size difference, but they all work on a lot of the same principles. So
so you can use a lot of that knowledge that you have and really and that expertise and really
and then
carry it over.
Yeah, and when I came over to the Army, I had to do a little bit of on-the-job training to learn some of the differences and stuff like that.
Is there any kind of like rivalry between the different branches? I mean, did you take a little heat?
Oh, all the time. The good thing about being Navy and then Army is when it comes to the Army-Navy game, I'm a winner no matter what. But
Who do you root for, though?
Well, I root for Navy, so all my Army buddies give me, a little bit of hassle about that. But there is always that rivalry between all the branches. We all think we're better than the other one, but the funny thing about it is if you're sitting around a table and you're poking fun at each other, when it comes down and you're in the trenches doing work out in the field, none of that matters. Uniform's the uniform. We all have the same mission. So it's really interesting how we it's kind of like a big family. You poke fun at your brothers and sisters, but when it comes time to it, you're really stuck together, defending each other.
Were you always based here out of New York?
No, I've spent a lot of time in various locations, Virginia, Groton, Connecticut, Holylock, Scotland, Bremerton, Washington, San Diego. So
you've been all over the place.
yes. So I had a kind of a spread out career.
Your deployment.
Yes.
Where you served.
I was deployed to Iraq in 2003 with the 2nd of the 108th Infantry out of Utica. We were part of the second wave into Iraq. So flew into Kuwait, and from there we pushed into Iraq, up into the Adjal, Samarra, and Tikrit area.
You were part of the active combat.
Yep.
That had to be difficult.
Yes, it was. Luckily, though, I was at an older age, a little more mature. I'd seen a lot more in my career, so it was definitely an experience. But I think what I had gone through before had prepared me for that. A lot of training. Some of the younger guys, they were looking to us for guidance. So.
And to refresh the audience, because it has been such a long period of time, and we may forget. I'm sure you don't. But in 2003, that was when the shock and awe, the campaign, and really that start of what truly some would say has never ended to date. How long were you there?
We were in country for just over a year, but our total time away from our families was 15 months. They brought us in, ran us through some training. They just wanted to, and a big thing was getting equipped. We didn't have all the equipment we needed, so they had to get us equipped and everything. And then, of course, there's the travel time to get over there. So in all, it was about 15 months.
So without saying, I don't want you, obviously, in any way to feel that I'm asking you to compromise anything that you can't tell us, but what was the most difficult thing when you were over there and you were deployed, other than the obvious being in combat?
I would say the lack of communication.
Communication with back and forth to the States or with
Yes.
family? Okay.
In this day and age, we're so used to, cell phones, internet at our fingertips. Back in 2003, the internet was not that robust. And, we were in a combat zone, so it was limited to begin with, plus you throw that on top. So, there were times where if you were in contact with your family once a week, you were lucky,
Sure.
So we relied a lot on phone calls and, the internet when we could get it.
Here's what I always wonder. When you hear about people writing letters, and I'm sure, I don't even know, do people even do that anymore? How do you even know when you send something, how long it's going to take for someone who's serving to actually get that letter or that package?
That's a good question. When we were deployed, again, internet wasn't robust. We couldn't have cell phones, so letter writing was the way we communicated a lot. And when you're in a country like that, you're depending on convoys to get those messages, that mail to you, and out of theater back home to your relatives.
Sure.
And because you're in a combat zone, the mission is always first. So those feel-good things like mail and stuff are secondary things. So you had to make sure routes were cleared, that there was a convoy going, because they wouldn't make up convoys just to send mail or do things like that. So if there was a convoy going somewhere and they could squeeze another vehicle or two in, they put them in, and that's how mail got around.
Well, I'm going to guess there isn't a mailbox there. So what do you do when you're actually writing letters? I mean, where do you put them? Where do they go? And I don't.
Yep.
I just don't know these things. I'm sure many other people haven't thought about that until we're just having this conversation.
Every unit that deploys gets somebody qualified as a postal clerk.
Okay.
And basically their job is just collecting mail. The military does have postal companies, and these postal companies will set up in major built-up areas on certain bases in theater. So we were lucky. We had one that was about 7 miles away from where we were. But again, the problem was getting that convoy that was going there.
Right.
So there was a postal company there, and we could get our mail up to them. And when we dropped off mail, we picked up mail.
How important truly is mail to get? I know that sometimes we have around the holidays, we have Melody Burns organizes the Christmas cards that are sent. And how important is it when you get something, especially from someone you don't know?
I'm glad you mentioned Melody, because she does a great job with the Christmas cards, and they actually send care packages too. When you're deployed, that's your focus 24/7, is doing the mission out there, and when you get that little piece of home, it just means the world. People ask me that all the time, and it's so hard to put into words what that means to you. That not only your family, but total strangers out there believe in what you're doing and care enough to send you a package. So it does mean the world to us, getting those things.
I'm glad to hear that. I know that, as a journalist during the first Persian Gulf War, I was at another part of New York State, and a good friend of my husband's was deployed.
Yep.
And was serving, and we would send the care packages, and we would send, back then it was a tape recorder with taped messages. I know I was in radio back then and went around and got my husband and his friends to all leave messages on this recorder and send that over. And I know he said that meant the world to him, but I just I wonder, that was a personal connection. Yeah. It's very different.
And getting that little taste of home, whether it's some local made beef jerky or the cards from a school class, it really means a lot. That your community cares about you.
How did your family back home? How were they able to cope? It's got to be hard for them as well.
My wife struggled with it. We got married, and we celebrated our 1-year anniversary, and then I deployed to Iraq about a week after that. So it was a difficult time, and when you throw on the limited communication and stuff like that, it just makes it a very, very difficult time for families.
Sure.
You know, I didn't have any kids, but I had several people I knew that had kids, or they were leaving behind pregnant wives, and that just makes it even more difficult. So nowadays, thank God, there's a little more communication. You can keep up on those things a little better.
Sure.
So.
Sure. So, at the point that that you were deployed in Iraq, did you do one deployment?
Yes.
Okay. Where were you in your career, like time-wise? Because you spent 25 years with the Army, right?
Yep.
So.
I had been in probably about 15 years. I was in E7, and I actually got promoted while we were over there to E8. So I was a little more advanced in my career than a lot of the other people that deployed with us.
And then you came back.
Yep, came back. And went back to work like normal, you know, like before. I was working out of Latham. They had me doing training, which is a fantastic thing, you know. After you deploy, you know, you train and then you deploy and you use all of that training. It really makes you realize how important training is. So for them to put me into a training environment was just great. It was probably some of the most satisfying stuff I did in my career. You know, being able to train troops and, you know, have them integrate even with other countries' training. So very gratifying.
Must have been difficult, though, to ultimately to end a military career that spanned, it was 30 years.
Yes, you know, for 30 years, almost, you know, you throw in the short period that I was out, you know, basically 31 years, you know, that's really all I knew was the military. So getting out was very, very nerve-wracking. It was a very stressful time, but the Army and the military in general has realized that they need to prepare people to transition out. For lack of a better term, when you're in the military, you have a shelf life. Depending on your rank, it depends on how long you can stay in. So at some point, you're going to go out into the civilian sector. So the military has done a good job of creating programs to help us transition. Does it totally prepare you? Absolutely not. But it is a great first step into it. And what I like about Albany County is there's a lot of other organizations that are picking up some of those gaps to help veterans transition from the military into the civilian sector.
And we'll continue in just a moment talking about that. I am talking with Ken Secor, the director of the Albany County Veterans Service Bureau. It is a good segue now to talk about the different things that, in terms of veteran services that are offered. You obviously leading our bureau. There are all kinds of things, everything from, you know, return the favor to help with the DD-214s and other things. Why don't you talk about what a typical day might be for you helping a veteran in Albany County?
Wow, a typical day is never the same. With veteran benefits, what a lot of people don't know is there are so many out there, from federal, state, and even some locals benefits. And when you get out of the military and you're looking for these benefits, it's so hard to figure out what you're eligible for. So that's what our job is, you know, to help veterans navigate through all all these benefits and resources and figure out what can we do to help them. So like you said, I mean, it could be anywhere from providing our veteran discount program. It could be educational benefits, maybe soldiers and airmen, you know, looking for jobs, you know. We even help active duty who are, you know, looking at getting out, you know, and transitioning into the area. You know, What schools are they going to go to?
It's got to be difficult, I would assume, if someone has been in the military or been deployed in an active combat area, to then come back, and when people say, do you take advantage of, or have you taken advantage of your ability to go to college, to put someone who's had those life experiences now in a situation alongside of those who, I'm sorry, but who haven't quite had that same degree of experience in life, let alone had such serious experiences. That's got to be difficult.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because what a lot of our veterans are finding out is when they get out and decide that they want to go to college, they're at a much older age than the 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are sitting next to them in these college classes. So a lot of the colleges in the area have created programs for veterans where they can go and there's other veterans there who they can talk with, they can relate with, and the programs are run by veterans themselves. A perfect example is over at College of St. Rose. They've got a great program over there where they even have a vet house, so in between classes, the veterans can go over there, they can look for advice, look to their other classmates for help with schoolwork, and they're a conduit for getting resources that we provide. Their staff can call us and say, hey, we need this, what can you do? And then we can assist those veterans who are going to college with whatever they might need.
So you're serving 100 or so veterans a week or more?
At least, yes.
At least.
We're serving about that many. In Albany County alone, there's almost 20,000 veterans. We're lucky in Albany County that they not only have us, but they've got the New York State Veterans Service Bureau. They've also got the VA hospital, which has veteran service officers there. So there's a lot of resources in this area, and it's great because it's so many.
And right in Colonie, there's the Albany Vet Center that just celebrated their 40th anniversary. Correct?
Yes, yep. And the Vet Center's been around 40 years, and the things that they do is great. One of the big things nowadays is PTSD, and that's one of the big things that the Vet Center does is help veterans through PTSD. I was there for the 40th anniversary celebration, and kind of some of the things that you heard were that some of those veterans might not be here today if it weren't for the Vet Center and the services that they help provide and help them get through those tough things that they've seen and done while they were in the service.
As a veteran, have you found that you needed to access some of the services?
Yes.
Trying to connect. It's probably a little easier for you, but
yes,
to connect.
For me, it's easy to connect. But what I find is veterans they're a very proud group, and a lot of them don't. When you say, hey, you should use this resource, a lot of them tend to say, well, somebody needs it more than me. And that's probably our biggest challenge right there is convincing these veterans that these are benefits that they're due. They have earned these benefits, and it's there for them. Yes, there's guys who may need it more, but they need it just as well. So there's a lot of conversations that happen daily with people, to convince them that you have earned this right. Go get this benefit. And they always show up later and they're like, thank you for convincing us to go get these services. And they do make a difference, especially, like I said, with the Vet Center. Right now, there's 22 veterans or military people committing suicide every day. So there's a big campaign push to deal with PTSD and veteran suicide. As a matter of fact, in September, the county is working with the Military Family Foundation, is going to be doing a awareness walk run at Lawson Lake in the county. But so there's been this big push to make sure that we get that number down. Right now, it's about 22 a day is about When you do the percentages, it's about twice the national average.
Wow.
So that's kind of like the big push right now, is to get that number down. And realistically, we know we're never going to get to zero, but we need to get that down to a reasonable amount.
Sure. We had a happy ceremony very recently with the Honoring Living Veterans ceremony the county executive hosts twice a year. And these stories are amazing. The three honorees, Terry Kindlin, famous in this area for his both criminal defense and work with the public defender's office of the county. Jean Leparco, Please Remember Me, everyone in Colonie that drives by, or everyone else that drives by on Route 9 and sees those flags. He was honored, as well as a 93-year-old Nils
Mokler.
Mokler, yes, interesting gentleman over at Iwo Jima.
Yes.
Who share their experiences. Are there things that you hear? I mean, I as a civilian hear those stories that are told, and I am in awe when I listen to what these gentlemen went through. Are you ever amazed still by some of the things that you hear?
Absolutely. One of the best parts of my job is actually speaking with veterans, getting to know their stories. Nils Mokler is a perfect example, talking to him and some of the things that he saw and did. Mm-hmm. You just kind of, even though I've deployed, just the difference between that time period and this time period. Mm-hmm. You listen to these stories, and like you said, you're in awe. You just... Mm-hmm. You're totally amazed by the things that they had to go through. World War II, Korea, mm-hmm. The Vietnam vets. Those are the ones that I get to talk to, and it's truly amazing to talk to them and hear the stories about how they paved the way for us. Mm-hmm. Every generation is paving the way and improving the military for the next generation. So when I think about the things that we had when I was in compared to then, and it's just totally amazing listening to stories. It's such a great sense of pride. I learned something new every single day.
You went into the military. If there's someone considering a career in the military, or what would you suggest they do?
Be honest with yourself. The military is not for everybody, but it is a great organization. The education that you will get, the things you will see and do, other than combat, are truly amazing. You'll see some fantastic places, do things, and the friends you'll make. The camaraderie in the military is like none other you'll ever find. I
mean, you've seen the world. Where was home originally for you?
Schenectady, New York.
Okay, so you are local, but you've been everywhere.
Yes.
Wow. We're out of time right now, but I know that for all kinds of information about services for the Veterans Service Bureau, albanycounty.com, and click on that and then go to the Veterans.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ken, for sharing.
Thank you for having us.
I'm Mary Rozak, the Director of Communications for Albany County. We've been talking with Ken Secor, the Director of the Albany County Veterans Service Bureau. albanycounty.com is the place to go. Click on the Veterans Service Bureau information to find out more about programs and services that we offer. We're out of time. We'll see you again soon.